Uh, I'm going to do the normal kickoff first. Welcome to Open Mic. We do this call because MSPs wanted to hear what was new with the platform, what bugs have been fixed, and you folks wanted to do a little R&D or rob and duplicate automation ideas with your peers. I am going to just go right to the happenings of this week. This was a very tough week at Roost. As you saw, we did first off, I'm going to back up and say my marketing team did an awesome job coming up with a script for me that I promptly am not using. This is just off the cuff here. George is probably nervous. This was a extremely tough week. The folks that we had to let go were all awesome. I think there was a social media post that said it right, which was Roost let go of a bunch of rock stars. When everyone that works at Roost is a rock star, the only ones that can leave are rock stars. And it was extremely hard and extremely painful and emotional for everyone. And the reason was I blew up the budget. I created the budget in December of 24. I thought I was doing what was correct with the budget. I saw the budget not working. I still did not act, and I should have throttled back hiring when I saw that my budget was not working correctly. At Roost, 80% of our expenses is headcount. So I couldn't cut. There was nowhere else for me to cut. And then not following the budget, it's not a small problem, it's a huge problem that puts the entire company at risk. So I needed to act, as painful as it was. So to prevent this in the future, I brought in additional resources for this year's budget and ran a number of exercises with my board to make sure that it's more obtainable for me, more obtainable for our expenses. And now we are positioned for the long term. There were a number of posts on social media, and I just want to highlight some of the things that I want to respond to. I think some folks were saying, it looks like we're set up for sale or something. We're not currently in any acquisition discussions. We're not in any private equity discussions. There is a game out there that people say they get money from private equity and raise money from private equity. No one raises money from private equity. They get bought by private equity, and then they post that they raised money. But we're not talking to private equity. We're not currently in any VC discussions or we're not going to raise a round this year. Well, I can't say we'll never raise money. It's not in the cards for this year. So none of this was done to make Roost look better to any bean counters out there. It was only done to make sure Roost survives in the long term. In fact, I'm going to paste what I just said into the chat. And if any of it happens in 26, take a screenshot, post it on Reddit, and blast me on if that actually occurs. There was some talk out there that the Rock doesn't exist. Over 100 people still work at Roost. The largest team is customer success and our Rock combined because they work really closely together. The second largest team is our engineering team. The largest team within engineering is reliability and performance as well. So it was a tough week. It was horrible. And we're all drained. And I apologize for the drama as well. Does anyone have any, did not expect to be doing this today? Does anyone want to drop anything in chat, question-wise?
Does it have to be in chat?
No, it doesn't have to be in chat.
First of all, I would just like to say thank you for coming and addressing the community directly. And that doesn't always happen, and just that it's appreciated because the community has rallied behind Roost to get to this point here. I guess maybe it's not a question, but maybe just a commentary. Being that being so community led may necessarily be a newer thing. Maybe from my perception, I don't know. I could be mistaken. But maybe a takeaway would be when you know these situations are going to happen, having a little bit more connections out in the industry. Because I think that there are some people that were let go that have already been snapped up. And because the community is familiar with them, it makes it a little bit softer when that transition comes and is kind of facilitated by the company that they came from, that there is such strong partnerships with. So just maybe something to take away to leadership.
Oh, absolutely. It's a good idea. Hopefully we never have to do it again to give that a shot either.
Yeah, and I would say, Amanda, this is Charlie Tomeo. We have done that after the fact, and we were doing it kind of in the background. It definitely is challenging. I trying to do it beforehand because there were so many things in flight that we didn't want to, certainly impact the team negatively, even worse than it actually was going to be. But we do have a bunch of people already connected, and we do appreciate what the community has stepped up.
Yes, thank you. I'm looking at the chat, and I echo, honestly, everybody is appreciating you for the honesty and the transparency. Thank you, Aaron. Yes, that is honestly the number one thing, like that all we can do in the community is just be open and transparent and give people the opportunity to have their voices heard. George, you're our community guy, right?
Hello. Yes.
Hello, community guy. Want
Yeah.
to pick up on the updates for yourself now here?
Yeah, I think I just echo what everyone has said already. It's been an emotional week. And thanks to everyone like at Roost and the broader community for the support that we've seen. Online and helping some of the people who have asked for help this week. One of I saw a really good quote this week actually from particular someone that says, "Committees optimize for agreement and communities optimize for truth." And I think that's a really, really good quote. And I think that's something that we want to continue is being transparent and looking to you guys to provide feedback and truth. So even if you don't want to share anything or ask questions today, just keep an eye out. Or if you're looking at this as a recording in the future, keep an eye out in Discord for a link I'll share that people can channel some thoughts into either anonymously or put your name on it. If you want, you can keep an eye out for next week because we're kind of eager just to continue collaborating with all the MSPs who have helped made Roost the success that it is today. We'll keep building, keep going forward. In other news, we can change it up a little bit now. We had a webinar earlier this week with OneStream that was focused about MSPs modernizing help desk support. So OneStream has come from BVoIP, that you guys may be familiar with. I'm by no means an expert on all of the help desk processes, but I find it pretty fascinating, just some of the cool stuff that real voice time intelligence is doing. So whether you're using OneStream or not, I recommend checking out that conversation. There's loads of good examples of the ways MSPs are using AI and automation to really set up technicians for success, keep customers happy, improve service times, and even getting into the weeds with how do you handle British accents, how, like all this kind of stuff. So we'll drop the link in there. Check it out. Our next webinar next month is with Enable. So we'll be diving into some stuff with Enable and again, focusing on some of the things you can automate with your RMM. So that's our February webinar. And event season is about to kick off again. So next week we're at True Peer. For anyone who's there, please stop by and say hi to Gary and friends who'll be at the Roost booth there. And then, of course, the week after, start of February, I know a ton of you guys are going to be at Right of Boom. So I'll be there. Ashley will be there. Yeah, we'd love to see you guys face to face. And again, if anyone wants to pick up any conversations about anything, that'll be a great spot to grab a beer and chit chat. That's it for now for me. I'll kick it back to you, Ash.
I think you got to put a quarter in the jar, George. You said B-Boy, but it's OneStream now.
Oh, it's formerly, I know, George Bardisi is gonna come after me. Yeah, formerly B-Boy, but now OneStream.
All right, so now we are going to jump over to our product and dev updates, and we have got, back by popular demand, our Jania. Sorry, you're going to be called that now.
Thanks, Ash. So diving into this week's dev update, we have a new integration that's out now. So if you go into the Roost platform, you'll see that ConnectWise ASIO is now a new integration. Secondly, we also have added a generic action for Twilio. Third, we have updated OpenText Secure Cloud actions. So you're able to view and manage your customer workflows and subscriptions directly in Roost. So lots of great things happening. Also with ConnectWise ASIO, we'll be having a demo by Dan coming up next. For Microsoft categories, it's now back within the integration. So for Microsoft related integrations, it's much easier to search now and find as well. So a big update that we added is that we improved OAuth 2 handling for our custom integrations. So now by refreshing tokens based on their actual expiration and adding a way to clear catch tokens to prevent workflow failures. So big push by the team on this one for custom integrations. And then also for our Ninja RMM integration, branding wise, we've made some updates to add Ninja 1 and then also added PSA categorization. This has no impact for existing workflows as it is a branding update. And lastly, for our new features and items with RoboRewsty, we now have an approval flow, which if you go to workflows, and you ask a question, say, can I list my integrations? Now you will have the option to click for approval for a RoboRewsty to access specific Roost data. So that is a new update for RoboRewsty. And then you can see how many installed integrations. Next for our bug fixes and chores. So the team has been really hard at work making the platform better, improving. First, we have within our workflows, the team was able to fix an issue where if you have a cloned workflow transition and it could incorrectly reconnect to the same action after reopening the workflow, we have resolved that issue. We also fixed an issue where large organizations could hit database limits. So making it more flexible with those limits and being able to load action options and improve that reliability for those high value accounts. And then a couple of key highlights from the integration section. We have fixed an issue for custom integrations where refreshes didn't respect the paging settings, and then also ensuring that you're able to retrieve your records correctly. We also had an issue where we fixed Microsoft Exchange pagination as well. It would previously stop early, so just ensuring that all your results are returned consistently as well. And then lastly, just as a key highlight for Microsoft and CSP customer actions, we made sure that they're able to be returned correctly, customer data, and then also including customers who haven't mapped to Roost organizations yet. Next, for RoboRewsty, we fixed an issue where for conversations could fail due to a Redis error. So just improving RoboRewsty's reliability during you all having conversations and setting up those conversations as well. Secondly, we also improve startup performance. So making sure that it's very reliable upon startup and then also reducing repeated API calls during agent initialization. A couple of updates for App Builder. App Builder, we updated custom components. Previously, it could lose link URLs, so and icons as well when reused on new pages. So we made sure that that was streamlined and updated. And then a few other updates when it came to triggers, reduced unnecessary system notifications by only sending trigger update events when meaningful changes occur. So this would also tie into reliability and performance. And in the general, we fixed profile menu settings as well, so that it could correctly open settings for active organizations instead of rendering an error page. And that is a quick overview of the key highlights of this section. Of course, feel free to go through as the team has worked on some amazing updates for this week. And then coming soon, we have onboarding indicators. So make sure you take a look out for that next week. We'll have more updates for you all. And I'll hand it over to Dan Hayes to get into the ConnectWise ASIO demo.
Awesome,
Hey,
thanks.
so I'll go ahead and share my screen. Do I sound all right? Sometimes
This is
these.
great.
Yep.
Okay. So let's see. So just make sure I'm sharing the correct screen. And
Before you
should
start, Dan, how do you
Yes.
pronounce ASIO? ASIO.
So I would usually say ASIO, and I thought that was how you pronounced it, but apparently not.
I think
So
I actually don't remember which one's right, so I was curious. All right, sorry to throw you off. Go ahead.
you're good. I think it's ASIO. So yeah, we released an ASIO integration. I'm not the only person that worked on it. I actually came into it late. I did like the last 3 actions, so majority of the work was actually done by Angelo. I just want to give credit where credit's due. But yeah, so we have some documentation here that will show you everything that you need to know to set it up, including the scopes that you should select. And basically when you go in, you're going to copy the client ID and client secret that you set up. And then that's pretty much the setup for that. Now, I apologize in advance because this demo is going to be pretty quick, just because I'm largely doing script execution. But basically, you can see we have some actions in here. So like list computers, that's just in there to just show that. I have a few generic requests here that are all doing the same thing that these are doing down here, but basically just listing scripts, listing shell scripts, and then scheduling a task. Now I'll go ahead and run this, and for all intents and purposes, I kind of threw this together pretty quickly. So I'm doing things like using webhook.site to ingest the stuff being sent back. And then also I just have the script being pulled directly from GitHub that I'm actually running. But here you can see it running, and then we can see, it's scheduled the task. It will return information about that. So I'm just going to let it run real quick. Then eventually we should see this light up. Yep, there's the first one. And then the second one should be coming in shortly. So we'll see here. I've been sitting here doing this a little bit all day. But we can see that we get back everything looks good here. That's basically just what I have in the script. It's a really simple script. It's just returning that. But that's pretty much my demo. It's largely focused around the RMM portion of ASIO currently. One thing I do want to mention too, we have the scopes limited to these scopes here. So if you find that you actually need more scopes, definitely let us know, or if there's some action that you don't see that you want, again, let us know.
Thank you, Dan. Any questions? George?
So,
Nope, I was trying to applause Dan and I hit the wrong button. Sorry.
Brian, question?
yeah, so I noticed this appears to have only ingested the V1 endpoints. My understanding is there's supposed to be like a V2 or an expanded API that has a lot better visibility to the platform. Is that in the works to get added to this?
So that might be a question for Jania or Tim if he's on, because I know me and Tim were discussing something about the V2 APIs. Tim, I don't know if you can shed any light.
Joel has it. Joel's the expert here. What do you got, Joel?
So the V2s, I believe that those are shortly coming. And most of the V2 endpoints, they're only going to make adjustments to endpoints that require computer IDs, because the V1 version has an in-private endpoint ID and a public-facing endpoint ID. In the current information that we have, there is a transition API call, essentially, where you can provide it a reversible entry. You send in a V1 ID, they give you back, or I'm sorry, you send in a private endpoint ID and it will return to you the public endpoint ID and vice versa. All endpoints, they stated that were going to affect the ability to run scripts, anything that needs those endpoint IDs. Those APIs are going to be updated to a V2 as well, and then they'll deprecate the need for this transitional call that they have currently set up, where we can go from private to public facing endpoint IDs. They're doing away with the public ones altogether. Not quite sure why they needed them to start with, but that's a ConnectWise question there. But definitely all of that is in process.
Got it. Appreciate it, Joel. If we spent enough time complaining about ConnectWise and how they set this API up, I could take the rest of this call. So appreciate it.
It would be a bunch of 500 errors. What was you saying?
No, we could only say 10 words per minute.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Brian, for the question, and everybody in the chat. We are going to jump to Jesse now for our marketplace update.
Hello, folks. Let me get my screen shared up here. Yeah, going through marketplace updates for this past week. First thing to note is no new crates this week, but some crates coming up next week that I will speak about in a sec here. Talking about bug fixes and chores in typical fashion. I won't go through every single one, but I'll talk about some highlights here. Microsoft user onboarding, we've added a couple things there, as we always typically do. So if you're using that workflow, check out those updates to make sure if something you were looking for is added, that you have what you need there. One other thing, so I said no new crates, but this is kind of like a new crate. We had a Automation Toolkit crate that was on private for a while. We got some feedback from the folks on the Rock saying that a few folks were interested in that. It looked like it was in a decent enough state to release it, so we set that to private, or public rather. So if you were looking for that, if you had a conversation with somebody on the Rock and you were looking for the Automation Toolkit, that is now publicly available for you to unpack. If you had it before, no changes to you. Basically, for those who aren't familiar, it, as the name suggests, is a toolkit of a bunch of different sub workflows. So things like creating tickets, I believe password resets are in there. Don't quote me on that, but things like that that are in a lot of the main crates that people use. There's a bunch of different functionality in there as sub workflows that you can kind of grab pieces from to kind of fast track building out custom stuff of your own. So check that out. Few fixes with some of the other ones, just in time admin access, Microsoft user offboarding, remove malicious email and block sender, few fixes there. Also for the sub workflows, if you're using Halo PSA, we made some updates to the update ticket and the create ticket. So if you're having issues with that, then made some adjustments there that should permeate across all of your crates that you're using. So let us know how those things went. In terms of coming soon, so the crates that I talked about releasing next week, we should be doing the traveling employee CA policy crate. So that's if you have a employee who's traveling for business or traveling for fun and they need to access their account while they're in a different country. This allows them to self-serve and adjust their CA policies as needed so that they can access things from outside of the country. We'll go into more detail on that and probably give a demo on that shortly as well. And then we made some improvements to the GDAP setup crate. So it's a brand new crate for assisting people in setting up GDAP. So if you're in onboarding, that should help you out a lot. Or if you just haven't gone through and set up GDAP for all of your clients, this should make it easy in terms of both showing you kind of a, where you're at in terms of your GDAP setup across your tenants and making that very visual so people can make adjustments, and then also having an automation that will do the adjustments for you all in one form execution. So you shouldn't have to go client by client anymore. You can do it all from one place and get that set up. Another thing I'll say is if this looks a little bit light, obviously the changes within the org and the cuts that Aaron had mentioned affected us as well. And if you see some new faces on the Rock side, some of the automation engineers have jumped in to assist those folks as well. So be kind to those people, but specific shout outs to Alexis, Kurt, Feb, JM, and then Ben Clymer, especially Ben. He got moved to our team as an automation engineer and then hopped right back in with the Rock to assist this week. So hugely grateful to those folks. And if you interact with them, be kind and be patient. But so far I've heard only good things from those folks. So huge shout out to the team for rallying around the changes and helping everybody out. So I think that's it for me.
Thank you, Jesse. All right, so we will jump into our last internal update here with Clea for our education, and then we have some demos.
Hey, I'm ready as ever, and I'm relearning how to share my screen as I do every single week. But I will go ahead and drop the documented updates into the chat so you can peruse at your leisure and pleasure. There we go. We don't have any brand new courses out there, but I do want to give some love to our 2 very short courses about RoboRewsty. I'm going to do a little bit of research and collect data on the very few folks who have completed these courses, but the team and I went through some AI prompting training, and we're getting way better results as a result. We put those lessons learned into our prompting course, and we dive into use cases in the 3 ways course. And we have a hunch that folks who took those courses are also having better experiences getting AI assistance. If anyone here has taken that course, if you have feedback, if it helped you in any way, please don't be shy. Let us know in the chat. Thank you very much, Jim, Holt, and Jason. Ash did not teach the course, but she could probably work on a version 3 for us. I would love to work on one with her. And Jim, I'll give you your paid testimonial clucks after this session. No, I'm kidding. Thank you for Love there. Get certified. I see folks posting their certificates on LinkedIn. I love to see it. I love to see folks go back and retake the courses or take more, because you always come at it with a fresh perspective the more time that you spend in Roost. Recent folks who earned their certificates for Roost Foundations include Jacob, Lewis, Michael, Patrick, David, Greg, Rob, Jacob, Nicholas, and Spencer. And for clean automation, we have Lewis, Chris, Xavier, Rob, Mitchell, Jacob, Wes, and Nicholas. Just to show you a little bit about those two courses. I actually want to go back and print out the recipe for RoboRewsty conversations, because I'm probably not remembering to apply them each and every time. This course in itself is less than a half hour. I bet that you've spent a half hour doom scrolling on social media this week. So maybe instead of that, next time, take the RoboRewsty prompting course and have a better experience using the recipe that we give you right here. And in the 3 ways course, which you can also complete in 28 minutes, so 1 hour, up your skills with AI assistance. You can learn how to process engineer with RoboRewsty. So like, I want to build a workflow that does XYZ. Here are the constraints. Get help with that. Troubleshoot a workflow with RoboRewsty. That's my personal favorite. It's usually typos in my Jinja is the culprit. And speaking of which, Jinja prompting with RoboRewsty, we've got an 8-minute lesson that was developed with our local Jinja expert and really all education expert, Eddie Chow. So go give those courses some love and make sure to rate this course, because we do read each and every feedback survey. Any questions, just let me know. But thanks as always for learning with us, and keep it going.
Thank you so much, Clea, and everyone who is giving feedback and taking those courses. It is awesome to see. All right, so now we are going to jump into our first demo, and that will be Owen. Owen, why don't you tell us what you're going to show us here today?
Yeah, let's see. Well, today's episode of Robin Duplicate, we're going to be going over something that I saw a lot of our clients had. It was a Huntress function. Basically just checks to see on local files that might contain passwords. So today's kind of like a recap of what we've built, some additional functionality that we've added. And then I'm really hoping to have some a little choppy. Let me see if I am using the correct mic. All right, can you hear me better now? Perfect. So yeah, we've just looked to see what features we can add. If you guys have some feedback, we'd love to hear what you have to say, but I'll go ahead and share my screen here. So basically, the way that we're structured and can import and export workflows into our clients' environments, I've had to build this as both a webhook and a cron workflow so that triggers can come over. But essentially, it's an all-in-one workflow where we get all of the workstations from whatever RMM you're using. It goes and grabs the local files, runs one of our custom PowerShell scripts, and then it just checks for local files based on some regex. So we've done some fine tuning on that. There's still some things that slip by, which really made me consider, the functionality of this workflow. But it turned us into using like a whitelisting system. So we can use an execution here, but essentially the workflow will find local files, give you a ticket note here based on all of the devices in that tenant. I know the one in Huntress, it does like one alert per device. You can split it up however you want. And it looks kind of terrible in ConnectWise, but it looks better in other PSAs. But you can whitelist this. So I've set up a workflow. You can set this up using external databases. For just this purpose, we've used org variables. We go and have this run through a webhook. Let's see this execution here. So depending on the trigger, I've got some Gingy conditions here, where if the trigger instance is a webhook, follow the webhook. So if you happen to rename it or whatever, it will always follow this path. And then once it comes in here, it'll use your logic on if it's found or not. If it is, it'll just append the most recent file to your organization variables to have your list of whitelisted files. So that way, the next time this cron runs, any files that have been flagged previously and you whitelisted will no longer be flagged, and then only creating a ticket with the ones that are new or hadn't been whitelisted. So yeah, really open to some feedback here. If you guys, like this kind of workflow or what new features you could see. The ones that I came up with are, this only runs on Windows devices. If this would be valuable to people running, Apple shops, we can make this work on Bash script. And then as well, I was thinking of doing like an AI classification. Some of the ones that I found that included the word like secretary, technically has the word secret in it. And so it isn't a great way to perfectly match words the way that I'm doing it, but an AI would, potentially catch that and not flag it as something that needs to be looked at. So yeah, really open to some feedback and what you guys think. If there aren't any responses.
Feedback for Owen?
Exactly. Yeah, we did a bunch of testing, found secrets or secret, ended up getting flagged a lot, especially in like, if you have like a lot of Visual Studio extensions or things just like how things are managed that way. So we also built in a limiting factor where you can check like certain file types. So if if one of your end users is storing their stuff in a JSON, you don't technically have to parse through all of those files. If you're only concerned about CSVs or text files, we've made filters to do that. And read, yeah, algorithm for partial matches would be great to know. Regex and Jinja, without including things like, I guess you could use some PowerShell modules or, just PowerShell itself, depending on what device you're running it on, is really the limiting factor. So cool. Yeah, I'll definitely hit you up, Reed. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and anybody else like tag Owen, continue the conversation in Discord if you want to.
And Andrew's got one there. It looks like, let's see. Protecting them is that you just put like a password on the file if one's flagged. I was thinking about like a remediation step, like either, quarantining it or locking it somehow just so that it can't be accessed. But yeah, open to looking into that. Well, thanks for the feedback. Yeah, that was what I had to show today.
Thank you so much. All right. So now we are going to have Jen. Jen used to always be one of my favorite demos. It's been a little bit since we've seen you, Jen. Want to tell us what you've got for us?
Sure. Share my screen. Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Yeah, see, I don't volunteer so that when you hit me up on Discord and you're like, hey, can you share something? I'll just have stuff. So I recently, I've seen this before that other people have done this basically, but using GraphQL to find errors that have happened, record them somewhere for review. It's pretty quick and simple, just listing the orgs, getting the failed executions for those orgs, processing them into an array of errors, and then I post them to our Halo within a runbook. And then I actually process all that within the runbook just to import that to a custom table that I created. So I get the execution ID, the URL. If it had an originating execution ID, so it's a sub workflow, I have the original URL, name of the workflow, when it happened, what the error was, and if there was a specific task that errored out, I can go directly to that task too. So this is kind of what it looks like in the results. Get them, post them. Pretty simple. This is kind of what the reports look like. So the client is a little obfuscated, but in Halo, the reports are pretty cool that you can group by certain columns. And I can basically just say, okay, here's the error. A lot of them don't come with text, which is a little annoying, but having the execution URL there definitely helps. But you can just see what the error is. I don't have to go looking through a bunch of logs to get that. And I have a second one here where it basically just counts the number of errors. So I can see what's the heavy hitters, what's really failing a lot versus just failing a little. So not very elaborate or, not a very long demo, but this has certainly helped me go through and find errors that our clients have. They say you want, me to spend 5 hours a month or something cleaning up your roost. This helps me identify where it needs to be cleaned up without having to do extensive, research. So it's a quick little import. I set a variable, shoot it off, and I just have one report to look at.
That is so cool.
So, any questions? I actually remember, I think Linda had mentioned something last week about hating to go through and find execution errors and so on and so forth. And I thought you might really like this.
Has anybody else done anything like this? I feel like there was somebody that showed something off about putting it into a database. I like the idea of like the Halo integration like that. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Halo is really, really, you say that you can do anything with Roost, and that's awesome for an automation platform. Halo as a PSA you can do so much. I see Ryan's asking a question here.
Ryan, Reed had your hand up and...
Sorry, I was muted. Sorry, just to add your point. I actually this week just finished building out something very similar to this, whereas as opposed to just the specific tasks that might be failing, it was the overall report of the workflow. And I set up to send a Teams message to my phone, so that way it's a little bit easier. So similar to this.
That's cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah. I don't necessarily need them going to my phone because, we're not an MSP. We're not actively helping clients out where I need to respond to something. Go ahead, Reed. You have a question too.
Oh, I was just going to comment that what Ash was thinking of might have been something I showed her quite a while back, where I just have a standard workflow that all it does is take every single ticket like that and throw it in an Azure table. Yes. And then we have different things that can look at it. But yeah, it's just like literally super cheap bulk storage. Yeah.
Yeah, once it's into Halo, it's all SQL, just to categorize it as you want.
Because then you could also you might have said this, but you could segment it based on the specific clients and stuff like that too, right?
Yeah, I have it linked directly to each client. I set their Halo PSA ID to a specific variable, and I just I use that within the workflow.
That's really cool. Are there any other PSAs that have that level? I guess like ConnectWise has like KBs, but you can't really dynamically update them like that, can you?
It's not like a SQL database that you can insert data into. Theoretically, you'd be able to maybe like insert some text about the errors. Like it would probably be easy enough to categorize all that stuff into Roost, and then have it just as text that you put into a ticket in ConnectWise, but you're not going to get the versatility like you would in Halo.
Yeah, I like James's point here. Once it executes successfully once in testing, I just assume it will run perfectly forever. Awesome. Goes on vacation for 3
Like a
weeks.
true MSP.
Well, thank you, Jen. That was we just had the 2 demos because we had the big updates today, and I wasn't sure how long we were going to need. We do have 12 minutes left now. So any questions, any discussions that we want to have, any other demos that people want to impromptu show off? Brian?
I think as a treat for everybody being good, we should have somebody leak the new workflow canvas.
Al did say that this was going to be his like last open mic ever.
We've been good.
When it's ready,
A,
not
is
before
supposed
or
to leak
after.
it. Oh, James.
When it's ready.
Oh, come
Everybody
on,
can blame
Aaron.
James for the being the fun place today. Anyone else? Questions, thoughts, ideas?
I did just want to echo the appreciation of, just being honest about what we saw. Personally, I'm sure it's really tough. So, feel for you guys. But it sounds like the core crew's, together and you're working on the product, and that's all we need. So, sorry I had a rough week, but thank you for everything.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh. Code Mash is good, Kelvin. I was saying that I want to try and convince them to weasel in like a sysadmin thing and start making this an MSP event too. So many good speakers. Any other people want to chime in? Want to ask any questions? You got the captive audience here for a few more minutes.
Anyone stuck on a workflow?
Ray just helped me out of a sticky spot.
Ray, you're on the call.
Yep. I did not know that when you drag actions out onto the workflow canvas, and if you're not careful and you forget to rename one, and then you go down to the action at the bottom that you didn't rename, that's the same as the action at the top, and you try to use with items with it, well, it'll run. It'll just never stop running. So food for thought, rename your actions if you're going to use them for more than one thing. All this time I've been working in Roost, and I've never run into that until yesterday. So it was, anyway, something to talk about. There you go. I took up a minute of your life I can't get back. Sorry.
That's interesting. I don't think I've done duplicate with items in the same canvas before.
Oh, well, when I say duplicate, basically, so let's say you have action for HubSpot, such as get user details, and then you try to reuse that action. Only at the bottom, you reuse it with items to check a list of items. The bottom one won't run. The top one will run fine, and the bottom one will run if you do a single ID. But if you do it with items, it gets confused and will not run. So, anyway.
So
yeah, you can't have the same task name. It's very specific. You can't have the same task name. And that's what's happening. But with items, it's then getting confused on, is it running on the task that you've got it on, or both of them? I'm not sure on the entire back end, but I know duplicate task names, bad idea if you're using with items.
Yes, same, James. My ADHD makes me have things exactly just so. As I'm building, I need to have my own prefixes that I've created, that I have in my mind that make sense. Thought that I was going to follow up with something else somebody said here, but now I forget what it was. Was there anything else? Did somebody else start speaking or start asking a question?
Actually, I have a technical question. Oh, go ahead, Jason.
Oh, sorry. Jason, you can ask question, and then Josh, come back to you.
Okay. Yeah. So I have a question about the onboarding workflow. Because right now we modify that onboarding workflow and adding the feature which is auto procurement the license from the PAX-A. So I just want to know, anybody have succeed to get the API call for the procurement, for the license procurement from the PAX-A?
Josh, is that a new hand or a response?
New hand, sorry.
Okay. I didn't want
I
to
think
call
the
in.
question is anyone using PAX-A with client user add?
For procure the license.
Isn't that already handled by the crate?
I think what he's asking for is like if the license hasn't been purchased before versus like updating an existing subscription.
Oh, got it. So a new.
We don't handle for setting, like if you're using something that is an existing subscription and trying to purchase a license because you don't have enough to apply to the user, that's the base functionality. If you don't have a subscription, we won't set up the new subscription because we kind of view that as reaching a little too far to say that we're going to set up a new subscription in your in PAX-8, as far as I'm aware. So if it's subscription, we don't set up a new one if one doesn't exist. If one does exist, we should be able to buy licenses, no problem. But anybody on the ROC or automation engineering team, correct me if that's wrong.
So one of the only thing that I know that will be a pitfall if you're trying to do it so that it'll provision a new subscription is PAX-8 has some really weird requirements around like what has to be included in that payload. And the problem is there's no documentation for it anywhere. And I'm willing to bet that's what's tripping you up on getting there. There has to be like special like acknowledged license terms set to a Boolean of true. And then depending on the SKU, it can be like a whole ton of different like attributes that have to be included that goes there. Yeah, like Jason said, some of that is MS driven, but it's a little frustrating that there's no documentation or schema for it.
Okay, but I think I'm still in the right directions because I will send the emails to the PAX-A support team and ask them for the help for provide me the correct API those attributes so I can use in the workflow. So let me quickly share my screen so that way you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, okay. I think the way that I was able to do it was I just tried and it would always send back an error saying that something was missing. And I kept doing that until I got the entire payload.
Yeah, but the problem is the inside of the payloads is kind of weird. It's not, it's not getting, could I always get the, different error. So, okay, so for this workflow, this is actually the Microsoft user onboarding workflow that's made by the Roost. And I just modified and added the sub workflow, which is for the procure the PAX-A license. So all the API is working, like a list of products and all this is no issues. But only issues when we are trying to create the orders, which is buying the license from the PAX-A, and we started to receive the errors. Like this bad request and the fail to process the request, and all this kind of this issue. So that's why I wonder the Roost already have a crate that already can purchase the PAX-A license. If y'all have, so I can just go ahead and use it instead of I put all of those API attribute in here.
Yeah, so the existing crate will purchase a license for a user if you need one, if there's a subscription already in place. So the way it works, like with these subscriptions, is you create a subscription once for the company for the SKU you want, and then you're going to modify the quantity of that subscription over time. So the existing crates that do user onboard will use those existing subscriptions to modify the quantities. If you're looking to stand up a brand new subscription, that wouldn't be in the crate because there's a lot of other like business decisions that go along with that. You've got things like the terms and the start and end date that you need to worry about. So we wouldn't do that in a user onboard crate. But if you're just modifying the count of an existing subscription, then that's automatically in the crate as it is today in the marketplace.
It's on the new the user onboarding workflow, right?
Yeah, it's in ours. This looks like it might be one of the older crates, or maybe your homemade crate. But if you look in the marketplace, you'll see our crates that handle that.
The Microsoft user onboarding is the new one.
Third at the top. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Let me see.
All right, who's going to reach out to Jason to make sure he's taken care of after the call, because we're running out of time?
I will create a ticket.
Yep, and Josh, if you get a chance, if you wanted to share your, you can probably post that in Discord or in the chat here, and we can probably follow back up with you as well.
Yep, I will. Yeah, I want to get out of here on time personally. So.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining Open Mic. We'll see you again next week. Have a good weekend, everybody.